Hello, my name is James Dixon and welcome to the Ground Jewels, the podcast where each week we celebrate a beloved sporting venue that holds a special place in someone's heart. This week we're talking about Edgbaston Cricket Ground, the iconic ground cum stadium in the heart of Birmingham with its famous Hollies stand that seats 6,000 of its most raucous patrons and has been the venue of many memorable matches over the years. And who better to talk about that ground than Gary Barwell? Gary has been head of sports turf and grounds at Edgbaston, or in old money, head groundsman, since 2011. It's his responsibility to craft and prepare the wickets that we see played on. And I think it's really interesting to get the perspective of a groundsman for the third time on. Edgbaston has traditionally been a bit of a fortress for England, not losing a test match at the ground until 1975. And the first match was played back in 1902. 1975 was the famous Ashes test when Brendon McCullum made a pair on debut and Dennis Lillee and Jeff Thompson tore through the English batting lineup. But England would get their revenge in 1981 when it seemed like Australia were cruising to victory, needing only 46 more runs with 6 wickets in hand. Mike Brearley chucked the ball to Ian Botham, who proceeded to take 5 wickets for 1 run in just 28 balls to give England an unassailable series lead. Even in their prolonged doldrums, Edgbaston was a place that England looked forward to playing at. It wasn't until 2008 that a side other than Australia or the West Indies managed to win a test at Edgbaston against England. And for some reason, Edgbaston has been incredibly profitable for left-handed batsmen down the years. Brian Lara's 501 not out for Warwickshire against Durham in 1994 still holds the record for the highest first-class score in cricket. And Alistair Cook's 294 versus India is the top score in test matches. 6 of the 9 test double centuries scored at Edgbaston have gone to left-handed batsmen, including David Gower twice, Graham Smith, Alistair Cook twice, and even David Lloyd, Bumble, got in on the act in 1974 versus India. Of course, Edgbaston's most famous match was the 2-run Ashes victory in 2005, a pulsating test match with a crescendo of an ending, which many say is the best test match in the game's history. Edgbaston also lays claim to one of the most dramatic one-day internationals of all time, the 1999 Cricket World Cup semi-final tie between South Africa and Australia. And it's my home cricket ground. I grew up in Bourneville, Birmingham, literally walking distance to Edgbaston, a journey I made many times in my teenage years, back in the days when you could get into the last session of a test match for a fiver and if you were lucky, see 2 to 3 hours play. So as you can tell, I'm very excited to talk about this undoubted ground jewel. But first, we need to look at news from around the grounds, and we're back to Northern Ireland again. The story, the saga, in fact, of Casement Park. It now looks increasingly likely that Northern Ireland and Belfast will be left out of the Euro 2028 bid, despite being one of the 10 cities accepted by UEFA, because of the dispute over the redevelopment of Casement Park. It's met opposition from local fans and politicians and even football supporters, with Gary McAllister, the chairman of the Amalgamation of Northern Ireland Supporters Club, saying, "There are a significant number of Northern Ireland fans who are not happy for the games to be staged at Casement Park. Nothing that has been said or done since the tournament was awarded has reduced those concerns. We're seeing a rival sport potentially benefiting from a huge investment in a stadium which will at most host 3 football games. The primary benefactor of a football tournament should be football." And you could understand the sentiments there. Northern Ireland is at risk of cutting off its nose to spite its face. Who knows? Maybe Northern Ireland will prove me wrong. Maybe the people and the politicians there will get around the table and be able to work something out. But at the moment, it looks like Northern Ireland is increasingly unlikely to host any games in Euro 2028. But it's not 2028, and we're not even talking about football this week. Let's get to the cricket and let's get to Gary. So today on the Ground Jewels, we welcome Gary Barwell, Head of Sports, Turf and Grounds at the iconic Edgbaston Cricket Stadium. Gary, welcome to the Ground Jewels.
No, it's lovely to be asked to be on here. It's nice to chat to you. Thank you very much. And we are chatting in the depths of a British winter, the day before the India and England Test series gets underway in Hyderabad. And England's decision to play with just one seamer has already raised some eyebrows. And the pitch is coming into criticism before a ball is even bowled. So I guess my first question is, who would choose to be an international cricket groundsman?
Someone that's probably a little bit mad and slightly insane. But no, I always say to people when they discuss pitches and, more than teams, you have your opinions on teams, and that's half the fun of sport. I support Leicester City, and I'd pick a different team after the week, and I'd make more subs, but that's what the manager's paid for, and people do more analysing than I do on it. So that's what sport's great for. But going to the pitch, never judge a pitch book by its cover. Sport's about entertainment. It's about what we all see. I've seen a brief few pictures of the pitch just on social media. Yes, it's a little bit different to what we see in good old British conditions. But you know what? The idea is to challenge us all at different skill sets, whether that be spin, seam, and hopefully what it will be is exciting cricket. Just highlight how good Test cricket is at such a high level with such world-class players playing on both teams.
Absolutely, well said. As you've alluded to, your career started in Leicester, actually at Leicester City when they played at Filbert Street. From there you moved down Aylestone Road to Grace Road, home of Leicestershire County Cricket Club, before a stint at Trent Bridge. All grounds worthy of talking about in their own right. But what makes Edgbaston so special to you?
It's weird. I'm a Leicester lad. They always say, you can move out of the place, but you can't take the place out of your heart. From a little village in Leicestershire, originally Market Bosworth. I think if you ask me, I've been very lucky. Leicester City was fantastic work experience. Leicestershire was an amazing place to work. I worked with some amazing ground staff, amazing administrators. Mike Turner, who was the chief executive at the time when I started, was anybody that doesn't know his name, search it up. He was the one that brought Sunday League cricket to this, more to this country. Did a lot with Raymond Illingworth to get Leicestershire on the map. Really good people. I've been really lucky. Andy's the head groundsman there now. I was one of a team when I was there. Went to Trent Bridge. Steve, I believe, I was chatting to someone yesterday, Steve Burke's head groundsman there. Again, Trent Bridge, what an amazing club. I couldn't speak highly enough of it. Steve Burke's probably the best groundsman in the country. I'm a bit biased. I'd probably say one of the best groundsmen in world cricket. Understated. Got a presence, got an aura. Just a really nice, genuine guy. I came to Edgbaston hoping for what sort of like a little bit of sparkle of Nottingham, a little bit of sparkle of Leicester, and hopefully a bit of sparkle, what you get. And from the moment I walked through the door, for someone's not Leicestershire, and I can go all the cliches I want, it felt like home. I suppose I was head groundsman, which makes, at the time, I've changed to head of sports turf now, but I was hoping just to make it a percentage better than how I found it. That was my whole remit in my head. If I do quite well, then that's great. We've exceeded expectations, but it feels like home. People treat me that way. I've never had one player for Warwickshire to ever be other than amazing to me. It feels like my home. It feels like a place where I should have come to. It's a different atmosphere. The staff that work here are amazing. I've worked with 3 chief executives, all different, but again, all amazing people. Coaches have come and gone. I owe a lot to Ashley Giles, because he was my first director of cricket when I came in, who was has just been an amazing influence on my career, who really backed me, really understood what I was trying to do. But actually then we changed. We've had Dougie Brown, Ashley Giles came back. We've had Paul Farbrace, again, really supportive. And at the moment I've got Gavin Lawson, who, again, has been really supportive. And I think that's the key. I feel really supported. I'm at a great club. Can't speak higher than that. I've been lucky. Could I top Leicestershire? Well, I did. I went to Notts. Could have top knots. I did and came to here. You make of it how you make it, I suppose, in another way. But again, this club is special to me. There's a saying that they always use is once a bear, always a bear. And I generally feel that. I can feel that inside me. I've just built a bar in my back garden, a cabin, and its name is Edgbaston Fox. So Leicester Foxes, as in Leicester City. And I always go, I'm a bit of a fox I'm always a fox at heart. But, Birmingham's, very special to me. The people that come and watch the cricket here are amazing, really supportive. And I think what just sums it up, it shows why gives me my biggest reason. I remember 2015 Ashes, Australia won the toss, England bowled first. And my deputy said, you'll never experience anything like all Edgbaston Test Ashes. And I was like, yeah, I've been to Trent Bridge, I've seen tests here. Jimmy Anderson came running in to bowl his first over. And literally, the whole of the Hollies went up, ball one, at 1 minute past 11, and didn't stop until 6:30. And it was just a different level. And each ground in this country, I think, have got, you probably see more cricket than I do live on different grounds. Each ground has its unique selling points that are different, quirky. Trent Bridge, still picturesque, good support, knowledgeable supporters. Edgbaston is just a football ground, whether that's India playing England, and there's a lot of Indian supporters in, which is an amazing, colourful, vibrant atmosphere. It's just special. Yeah, I can't. Anybody that wants to come and experience it, it's a sporting event that a big sporting event at Edgbaston is one on the bucket list for people to do, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I wasn't at that particular Ashes test, but you talking about that took me back to the Cricket World Cup semi-final, with a very similar, big, I think it was a Wednesday. We were all excited. It was Australia. Jofra Archer, his first ball, he takes out Aaron Finch. The crowd is just up, and it was just one of the great experiences that I've had watching cricket anywhere in the world. And I think it's interesting that you use the word sort of football stadium, and it's sort of because that's a theme that comes out. I mean, Graham Swan has sort of famously said the Hollies is, anyway, I'll give you the full quote, Edgbaston with the Hollies stand in full voice is just amazing. The atmosphere generated is unique. It's the closest you get as a cricketer to knowing what it's like to be a footballer. And and there's other great stands. You can talk about the Western Terrace at Headingley, and there's other places, in around the world. But and I'm biased. I'm a lad who grew up in Birmingham, not a couple of miles away from Edgbaston, but I love the Hollies, and I think it has a real sort of Brummy wit to it, and perhaps sort of best emphasised last summer in the first test of the Ashes, and Australia are fielding, and you can hear the Hollies chanting at Steve Smith, "We saw you cry on the telly," and it's just a lovely little bit of humour, and it's a way of supporting the team, and I love it.
Oh, it's a privilege to be here. I think the one thing that does amaze me, and I don't disagree with Graham Swan, actually. I love my football. I go to the football, and it is, when it's in full voice, on a T20 finals day, I think the whole place is swaying from about, 2:00 in the afternoon. The one thing people sort of forget a little bit, and the crowd are very knowledgeable. They know their cricket. They love their cricket first and foremost. One of the great ones, if anybody ever wants to look at it on YouTube, it's one of the funniest, and it was Jesus Wants His Ball Back in the West Indies day-night test. You've got butchers chasing a pig. You've got Jesus and the disciples. You've got a couple of, President, Trumps running around. And they're all people from different, walks of life, different, they not know each other, but they're all coming together. They support England cricket. They're there to watch the cricket. They're there with the friends. They're meeting up, probably sometimes, I don't know, but I know some people do. So once a year, they book the tickets for Edgbaston. They love the Test cricket. And if you notice, yes, people come to 2020 and people come to... But Test cricket, in that instant, in that moment, is very much an alive and well place. And I think the people that come and watch Test cricket don't come if they don't know the game. You might get one or two that come in and just occasionally watch, but that audience is very knowledgeable. You know, they all knew Steve Smith cried on the telly. You know, if you speak to people like David Warner up close, who, you know, are pretty nice guys actually, which is a shame because you want him to be a bad guy. They do find it amusing. They do enjoy it. They do see it as part of the pantomime, for want of a better analogy. It's special, and that's what I mean. But other grounds have, like I say, if you go to Trent Bridge, you know, if you said to me now, oh, what tickets for Trent Bridge, I'll go and embrace it. What a beautiful ground. Amazing pitches, amazing ground. It's lovely. You can walk round the ground. It's still got the old, you know, the guys still wear the green jackets it's sort of like going in a bit of a, you know, I saw Stuart Broad take a hat-trick there when I was working there against India or Pakistan. I think it might have been India. And the atmosphere was amazing, you know, and these grounds, what's great, especially with Test cricket, I mean, I love my one day 2020, and I'll be honest with you, I've got no issue with 100. They're different audiences. The 100, that is very much more a family audience. And actually, there's room for everybody, and it gets people interested. But a Test match at Edgbaston, you know, I think, I'm not 100% sure on this. I think we've sold out for the West Indies this year. We've sold out at days 1 to 3, pretty much. Day 4 is well sold. Day 5 is always a little bit more of a different sell, you know. And people come because the atmosphere is lovely, and it's you know, Birmingham centre of the country. I'm really proud to work here. I think the other thing is it can't be overemphasised how good a job the guys in the ticket office do, you know, because if you come with your family with 2 little kids, you probably don't want to be sitting in the Hollies with a load of drunken lads and they go in the right area. So, but the knowledge of the crowd, I love the crowd here on a major match day. I've been lucky enough, you're out in the middle, the singing, the dancing, and, you know, we take the rope round to get the dew off for the 40,000th time that potentially doesn't do anything. And they're all sort of like the security guards jumping in the air, and it makes your day feel better. It really does. And, yeah, they're a credit, that they're the people. I say this a lot in a lot of interviews I do. People ask me who you know, who do you sort of, you know, oh, you must do it for England or you must do it for Warwickshire. Yes, you do. Of course you do. You do it for yourself. You want to get a good picture of yourself. The people I answer to are the paying public. People that watch it on the telly and the people that are in the stadium. The Ashes this year, I know Jimmy Anderson had his moments, but if everybody that I know that came to watch 5 days of Test cricket here at Edgbaston went away saying, wow, what a game. You know, we all wanted England to win, let's not beat about the bush, but it went down to the final day. We had days with loads of runs, the first ball cracked for 4. We had a day where it was 100 for 7 because it was overcast and moving around. And if the people that come and watch the game love the game, you've done your job. And it's quite. There's nothing great. There's no greater feeling, really.
I can imagine, you know, and that feel, you know, that sound when people are walking away from a day's play, just excitedly chatting about what had happened, and sort of go. I imagine that's quite a satisfying thing, you know, at the end of a job well done.
Yeah, I think the thing is for me, I look at it from 2 sides. If I'm being honest, you can go deep and meaningful into it. Of course you can. It's when I go to the football with my daughter. You know, I've got 2 daughters. One that's full, one doesn't. So I do other things with my other daughter. When you have them special days, whatever it may be, you know, my dad used to take me to the football. So I know all these days where people will go with parents or grandparents or sons and daughters, or, you know, fathers and daughters, mothers and daughters, you know, whoever it may be. That's a memory that will stay with them for life. So if actually we can try and do the best pitch we can, or if it rains, we try and get them out there. So that might be the one day they ever go to a Ashes Test match, or it might be, you know, my dad came, bless him, before he passed away a few years ago, and he came for day 3 in 15. And all he was bothered about was getting a hat. He didn't care about what the pitch looked like. But you know what? When he passed away and then we had the next Ashes, that was probably the most emotional I was. Because those are the things in life that are more than money, they're more than anything else. So actually, if I can do my job to the best I can and give everybody the best day's cricket that I can possibly do, and I leave everything out there that's done that, then that's good enough for me. And you're right, it's very satisfying. It's nice when people appreciate what you do. The rough with the smooth, you get the good and the bad. But that's my mantra. I try and produce every pitch here at Edgbaston with me and my team to the best we can, given any given day on any given time.
I think that's all very admirable. Do you ever sort of, because you must be under pressure from lots of different angles as well, because the safeguard, because I can imagine you going back to that, say 2015, it's your first Ashes at Edgbaston. Australia are bowled out about an hour, between lunch and tea. England have a really good a session and a half with the ball. Is anyone from the commercial department giving you a little look like this is supposed to go 4 days or anything like, do you ever get, or captains? Because at the moment, obviously the big thing is about baseball and we want to play cricket a different way. Has anyone ever tried to influence in terms of? No.
I've been quite lucky. I know what you're saying. No, not here. I remember 15. Obviously, wickets went down, and it was my chief executive, Colin Povey's last. And I remember him coming out, and we were just chatting, and the feedback from the ground was people were loving coming in. It was amazing cricket. England had bowled well. Australia had batted not great first innings. I think that sort of set that up. Then Steve Finn had just an afternoon. I think he took 6 wickets. I think he was either on a hat-trick or took a hat-trick. Or I remember walking at the back of the old score when he got the one of his wickets, and the whole lot went up. And I said, and Colin Povey came out to me. I think it was going to end roughly dinner time on I think it might have been the third day and you're right, financially, you're not going to make as much as you'd like to make, obviously. But I remember he came out, and I had a really great relationship with Colin. I feel like I owe him, in life a lot, like as well with Ash. They gave me my opportunity to become head groundsman here, so I'll never be in their debt. And I said to him, we had a really honest relationship, and if everybody knows me, I'm pretty honest. I'll say it how it is. He's come out and what do you think, Gaz? Are England going to get? I said, yeah. I said, Colin, people talk about these chief executive wickets, the flat ones, and 5 days, and I said, that's the biggest load of rubbish out. He says, what do you mean? I said, yeah, from a financial, it is. I said, everybody that's been into this ground, I've not heard one negative. The ground looks great, the beers are flowing, the club are great, everybody's working hard behind the scenes. I said, this is a chief executive's wicket. I said, because this is your last Ashes, or last international, and there's nothing better. England are going to potentially win. The pitch is rated highly. If you do the best I believe if you do, I've never had any instruction here to produce a flat pitch for 5 days. It's just get the best pitch out you can. England have never asked for anything. In 15, I remember Alistair Cook came out and said he wanted a typical old-fashioned English cricket wicket, because I think they just lost at Lords in the first test. Now, I didn't know what one of them was, so I'll be honest with you, he had no chance. I thought a little green seamer, so we just produced the best we could. Brendon McCullum and Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes is a little bit quiet. I don't overly talk to him a lot. He just comes out and says, look, yeah, that'll do. Thanks a lot. Brendon McCullum's a breath of fresh air. What a bloke. Genuine, decent, chats to you, understands what you've been doing. There's no instruction. There's just genuine, right, what you've been up to, how you've done it. They want, this year's Ashes was a little bit, potentially wanted a little bit more pace in it on a personal note. Probably day 3 was at its best, but we had a lot of hot weather leading up to it, and I was a little bit worried about it cracking open. I needed to go 5 days. I wanted it to be right all 5 days. If it was 5 days, 4 days, or whatever that may be. And potentially, I think, I've got a feeling somebody got injured. So I think England went in with more seamers and no spinner. I've got a feeling Leach might have got injured when we were prepping it. And I think that slightly changed their tactics going into. I think if potentially, it's an easy thing to say. Wood and Woakes made a difference if they'd have played in the first 2 tests. I think there is an argument that they made a massive difference on a quicker pitch at Headingley than at Edgbaston and the Oval and Lords. I think potentially if Woakes might have played here, and that's a big call. That's not my call, but you know what I mean. It's easy to say when he does so well in the tournament. But if him and Wood might have made a bit of a difference.
I think it's completely fair to say the man of the series playing at his home ground might have made a bit of a difference if he was selected. But it's above both of our pay grade. I think the selection, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, I've never met much more of a genuine guy than Brendon McCullum. I think if England have got a person like him, and you know what, I've got nothing but positives about Rob Key as well. Two genuine guys that are genuinely trying to do the best for Test cricket and English cricket. No hidden agendas, no that I've seen. When they speak to me, they speak to me openly, honestly. They never come out anything negative in the media after what we've tried to do. We're off to the next game. Just genuine people. I think England are very lucky to have them, to be honest.
That's good. That's fantastic to hear. In terms of the other sort of big thing that Edgbaston has become known for, and it's become the home, I guess basically during your time there, it's become the home of T20's finals day, and that's now almost like a set fixture. We know it, everyone knows that they're going to Edgbaston. It's no longer rotating around the different grounds. That is something that I've not been to yet, but looks like the most fun day out.
It is if you're not a groundsman. I would argue that as a groundsman you have a weight of expectations, especially when it's in September and it turns a bit or it grips a bit because it's a bit damp. No, again, it's an amazing day. We're privileged to host it. It's enjoyable. The day before is quite good when all the teams train and they come and slog it out the ground. They have a little 2-hour session each. But no, it's a good day. The only negative on our side, and it's a very small negative, it's not an awful negative. You do feel if Warwickshire haven't got there, you are just a paid gun to come and do your job and get it done type thing. But it's a brilliant day. Last year, in adversity, my team pulled one of probably the blinders of all blinders that I've witnessed. And, you know, I have a plan when it's going to rain and we're on guard. But on one of the wettest days of the year we've ever had for finals day, to only list, I think we missed 10 overs in a whole day when it was showering and rain all day. It was a pretty exceptional effort and I was very proud of them. So I love finals day. There is a weight of expectation that's very, you know, you want to get it right for everybody. I do find it harder at the end of the season, I must admit. We've had it in the middle of summer for a couple of times and that's a lot better on a personal.
You had to do it in October during the COVID year.
Oh, I mean, yeah. October and it rained all down the first day and then we've got them playing. But again, you have to sort of sometimes dot your cap, you know, we got it off the ground, we got play. But, you know, who was here? I think it was Alex Stewart, Paul Allett. Oh, who were the other? There was a couple of other coaches. I can't remember who the other two coaches were. Peter Moores. And I can't remember the other team here, so apologies to whoever that was. But you have to sort of take your hat off. You sort of come out and you're like, look, this is as good as it's going to get. Let's get out and let's get cracking playing. And they're like, of course we are. We want to play. And then the umpires take it on. Yeah, let's play. You know, and sometimes people get lost in that. You know, umpires don't want to, you know, and have a little moan. But there is times, a lot of the time, where umpires are brilliant. You know, they want to play. You know, they have a really issue with the safety of the players. It's really tricky. But you know, hats off on that day. It was still a bit wet. We got finals day over the line in October. It was a funny old year, the COVID year. But you know, in adversity, if you've helped people with a bit of sport on the telly and it takes your mind off a pretty rubbishy time, then that's what you're there for, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the interesting things for me as someone who grew up in the area is seeing how much Edgbaston sort of changed and developed over the last sort of 15 or so years. I think we all understand the commercial reality of county cricket and domestic cricket, and we know why, like the conferencing facilities and the hospitality things go in. We've lost a few things from the ground. We've lost the view of Cannon Hill Park from the city end. We've, along with everywhere else, we've lost being able to take your own beer in. But I think, particularly relevant for you, we've lost perhaps the most iconic part of the ground for around 20 years, which was the Brumbrella, which for people who and I know this predates your time, but for people, there was a giant mechanical cover that virtually covered the whole ground. I'm guessing you probably don't lament its demise.
Yeah, the Brumbrella. I never saw it working. I've heard it and I've seen some pictures. I do know it broke at one point on a what's it? They have to weld it in it. They used to have a rest day in a test match and they had to weld it that day. It was an inspirational idea at the time, but flawed with it was weighed a ton and a quarter. You were completely rolling the square at all times. It was never. But you know what? In the time someone's idea came in and thought, let's try that. Hat off to Warwickshire and them for trialling it. Because if you don't try things, you never know if they work. Do I think it was a good idea? I don't think it's the worst idea I've ever heard. I think there's an argument you could do something similar mechanically where it comes out the ground and comes across the square when we're covering and stuff like that. But if you don't try, the trouble is people get heads up in life sometimes. Is they get heads up. Like we all have a laugh about it now. It's called the Brumbrella for heaven's sake. But actually, hats off. It worked for a few years. Was it too heavy? Yes. Was it a bit cumbersome? Yes. Would I like to use it? Probably not. But actually, a hell of an idea. And we still use sausages now that we roll the sheets up in, just inflatable ones. So actually, from the Brumbrella's technology, we've adapted it. And like anything, everything adapts. So, yeah, it was a shame because I'd love to have seen it. It predates me. I think I started in cricket in '93. I still think it was knocking around then.
2001, I think, and I don't know that off the top of my head. I've clearly
it won't be far.
Yeah, 2001 was when it when it met its end. When I post this, I'll put a picture up of it because it's just a great visual. But pleasingly for someone who grew up around the area, one of the great things about Edgbaston, which hasn't changed over that time, is the iconic scoreboard, the one that people will recognise with Brian Lara posing in front of from the 501. And I think it's nice that heritage bits of the ground are still staying while it's being redeveloped. And for me, I first went to Edgbaston. I didn't go in the Hollies to start with because my uncle wouldn't take me to the Hollies because he knew what the Hollies was like. He took me to the Raglan Road stand on the opposite side of the square. And it's there's bits of the ground that are still as they were for me when I first went in 1994, which is very nice to see. When you get a bit of a chance, and maybe you don't get a chance, but a little bit of downtime, and maybe it's a county championship game, is there a particular area of the ground you like to view the game from, or are you under orders to say that you never sneak a glimpse?
No, I generally hide in my office. We sit in the tunnel with the boys. I'm not a great watcher of the pitches I produce, if I'm being really honest, because I'm too critical. One ball is a millimetre out and I'm like a cat on a hot tin roof. But there is times where something's good and something's a bit special, or I saw Virat Kohli score 149 here, batting with the tail against England. I watched Brendon McCullum hit 156 in a T20, and I came out of my office at about 20. It was 20 not out, and watched the rest of it. Josh Butler and who was with him? Abdul Rashid, I think. When England scored 409 in 15. They're the things you can. One thing I'm quite good at, I'm really critical of what I do. I'm the worst critic of myself. So if anybody wants to criticise me, you can't make it any worse than me. So I'm quite bad. But one thing I am quite good at, I'm great at reflecting. So although I'm critical, I will happily go back and reflect and, go, do you know what? That was pretty special, that was. Or the nicest feeling in the world, for me as a groundsman, and everybody's enjoying the day, is if Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root scored 370 odd to beat India the other year. I think England were 2 down. There's no greater feeling than when you're at two things. One, when you're out in the middle and Johnny Bairstow is one of the nicest guys in the world, let alone in cricket, comes past and just thanks you to your face by your name and goes, Gary, that was amazing, thank you so much. Well, you know, I'm not like, mate, you don't need to thank me. You know, you've just been unbelievable. But when you're walking and the crowd sort of disperses, it's about an hour and a half after the game. There's still people are milling around, but a few TVs and stuff. We have to walk across the ground to the Colts ground car park, which is the other side to where our tunnel is. And you're walking back, and you can honestly, if it's gone really well and you know it's gone well, there's no greater feeling than going back to your car, thinking, do you know what? We're absolutely, you know, you're thanking your team and very proud. You know, you've got half the press in the world that will be critical of the pitch on one other given day. You think, you know what? Just smash that. This place looks amazing. You get back to your car and you drive probably a couple of miles or even home. I'm 40 minutes to home. And all the way home, all you're thinking is, you know what? I'm so proud of my team and what we've achieved today. And that's enough. You know, and probably it's sort of answering your question. I don't watch a lot. If I had a choice, I'd be in the Hollies, I think, with my mates. I quite like the noose high up bits. I don't know what they call them now. The nice, you know, it's got nice bars and stuff up there. But I think if I was choosing a place to watch it, I'd be going in the Hollies. Out with my friends, in the Hollies, enjoying the day, enjoying the atmosphere, and just enjoying being part of something that, you know, for 5 days a year, which is what it is. You know what I mean? It's quite special. So no, Hollies would be my. If you have my choice, I'd probably go Hollies. Hollies says more about me than it does about the ground.
No, I think, and there's no right or wrong answer in terms of this place, and I think it can change for different grounds. Like if I'm getting to a test match or a big one-day international at Edgbaston, I'd choose the Hollies now. At Trent Bridge, I'd want to be in the Radcliffe Road Upper or the Radcliffe Road Middle.
Yeah, I see that.
That's where I want to be at Trent. That's where I want to be at Trent Bridge. Lords, you take wherever you can get because it's so damn expensive to get there and hard to be in. There's why I like this podcast and why I like talking to people like you. All these places have different characters, and they're actually quite unique to individuals as well. And it can very much depend what you want to get out of the day. And if you want to have a great day with your mates, there's few stands in world cricket and in English sport better than the Hollies to be in. You get that feeling of being most proud when you know a day's gone well and it's entertained the public. Can you think back to what are some of those fixtures that sort of stand out in your mind? And they don't have to be test matches. They can be from everywhere, where you can sit down at the end of the day and as you're getting into that car and you're saying that was a job well done.
I think test matches will highlight things, but 2015 Ashes, just purely because it was my first Ashes and it was special. 2018 India. When I've got India lost, but I had Indian press people coming up and saying if people produce test pitches like that, it'll save test cricket. That was quite special. India test for England knocking that record run chase. It was just brilliant being here. Ashes are special. 2015, 15 New Zealand, 409 on a one-day game. That was pretty special. Couple of T20 finals day where there's been over 1,000 runs scored in the day has been pretty special. Warwickshire winning the championship twice while I've been here. That's pretty special. I've won the championship at 5 clubs now, or 5 times. I've managed to get my hands on the trophy. And if you sort of going a little bit off piece from what you've just asked, but actually it's actually probably. If someone asks me what it's to do with cricket, but it's not what people will probably think. If you ask me what's my biggest achievement biggest thing I've experienced because of cricket, I went from Leicester where we'd won two championships in the 90s. I was lucky enough to be there with an amazing team under James Whittaker. What a side that was. I mean, people talk about teams and it couldn't have been as strong back then and all this kind of thing. David Milnes and Alan Mullally opening the bowling, who should have played for England. have to have a beeb, 1,000 runs. I could go through every player in that team.
Ben Smith was great.
Darren Maddy.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Nixon, best keeper in the country at the time for me. Even had a really good spinner, Adrian Pearson, that not a lot of people would have heard of, but was a good county spinner. Gordon Parsons, been going blick for years, but just a great, it was a great side, great times. But in 2000 I might get the wrong year, but 2010, I went to Notts in 2009, and Notts won the championship in 2010 under Chris Reed. Again, amazing team, lovely people. Mick, Lisa's chief executive now, was there as well under Derek Brewer. And I got the opportunity to, at that time, when they won the championship, the championship winning team got to go to the PCA, I think, headquarters. I think it was in somewhere really posh in London, where I probably wouldn't be normally invited to. But then you went to Buckingham Palace to be presented with the trophy from the Duke of Edinburgh at the time. And Steve, my deputy, had said, "Look, Gary, would you like to come with me? As my guest." I think he took his wife years before, but I went. I think I only went because he couldn't do his tie on the way down, to be fair. So off we went. And I'm like, you go through, you have to give your passport and stuff like that. And I remember going through the first gates, walking across, it's Buckingham Palace. What am I doing here? Obviously the Queen's in residence at the time. I didn't see her, but we're all in this room. And I remember being with Paul Johnson, who was a batting coach at the time, me and Steve, and a guy called, I think, Chris Tolley. Went to Worcester after. I think he was the academy director. And Prince Philip, he's literally coming round and chatting to everybody. Now, you've got this preconceived conception of what Prince Philip's going to be like. Honestly, this guy was unbelievable. It's the most inspirational, jaw-dropping moment that you could ever imagine. Everything you think it should be, it is. And he's asking, he's going round, and who are you? He said to Paul Johnson, and he told me who I was, and Chris Tolley. And he said to me, I said to Steve, "What do you do?" He said, "Oh, I'm head groundsman." And he said, "And what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I'm deputy head." And he just said, "Do you two get on?" And me and Steve were sort of laughing, and as you do, you sort of watch the thing. But he was holding court unbelievably, he's going to his late 80s. Anyway, he sort of walked away, and he turned back round, and he said, "Just to say, I've got a bit of a problem with geese in the garden. What would you recommend?" Well, you don't think about it, do you? You just sort of go back into your normal mode. And I went, "Well, if the money's right, me and Steve will pop up and have a look for you." And I've just thought,
if the money's right.
I've just thought, I would have come, and just think to yourself. And he was so lovely. And I thought to myself afterwards, I got back and, I'm in Buckingham Palace. They got presented with the trophy. The girls from Sussex were there as well. And he was so genuine and so had an aura about him that I can't even explain what it was, that made you feel so comfortable. You knew you were in the presence of someone that was a royal. And that's what cricket's given me. It's given me unbelievable opportunities in life. So, if anybody listens to this and wants to be a grounds person, do you know what? Join. Because I've witnessed things, cricketers up close, sports stars that are amazing. I could name everyone, I could probably name the 5 or 6 that have been not so nice, but the thousands that have been, standing next to Freddie Flintoff on a finals day. So I have that story. But I also have standing next to Freddie Flintoff on finals day, dressed as Elvis, just about before he's about to do it, turning to me saying, "What am I doing?" And it's just, I'm so lucky. I love what I do. I love the game. I want to make the game better if I can somehow, if it can be done. Protect it as much as I can when people, give it a little knock. But just little things like that, I think, are really important. So probably that would be when you ask a question of I'm pretty proud. It's funny, I produce every pitch like it's the best pitch I can ever do. Sounds a bit cliche and a bit, but yeah, there's certain ones, obviously, of course, are highlights. Warwickshire winning the championship is one. Liam Norwell, actually, there's one. Liam Norwell, 9 wickets to keep Warwickshire up a couple of years ago. That was pretty special. A couple of reasons. One, it was unbelievable. And I'd actually said to him, he'll take a hatful today, sort of jokingly, sitting on the sideline. And the other one, he's just a really nice bloke that needs a bit of a break from injuries. So you have a little bit of a mix on stuff like that. And also watching the players do well. You know, some of the players are really nice. Chris Woakes. You know, that man of the series this year for England couldn't have happened to a better bloke. Not just a cricketer, just a...
He does come across as a really great bloke, and I forgot to thank you because I was there in the Somerset game in 2021 on the final day. I think you'd thrown it open free of charge. I was actually in Birmingham for a funeral, sadly, but with someone who I used to go to the cricket with, and then after we'd had a little drink, it was down in Halesowen actually, and then we had a little drink with whoever was there, and then a few of us just came to the cricket, and we actually got to watch Warwickshire win the championship, which was a really, really nice moment for that, for us really. And that, so thank you for that pitch, and thank you for that, and for that memory.
No, I'll be honest with you, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because to be honest, I wasn't. I was in bed with COVID at the time, so I was really quite poorly. It was gutted because I'd done the whole season, and then when they won it, I was like, oh, what's going on? So I was asking the wife. I couldn't watch because every time I watched, I didn't take a wicket.
Yeah.
And then I turned on just as Pat Murphy was doing the last wicket, I think.
Yeah. It stalled a little bit just after tea, I think, and then it was like, are they really going to dig in here? Because I don't think they had much to play for, and there was a lot of expectation. And then I think it was Chris Woakes who might have got the breakthrough.
And then he got one wicket, and then I think Briggs took a couple, didn't he?
The last two tumbled quite quickly, and we went from not knowing whether it was going to happen to being the county champions in about 15 minutes. So it was great.
Yeah, and like you just said, then though, that again, it's answering the question I think you asked me earlier. It's creating those memories. If you, in your head, are always thinking, I'm creating those memories for people, and you're just trying your best to do that, that should always be good enough. You know, no matter what this pitch looks like in India, you know what, I'll get up at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning and have a little look, just because I'm interested and a bit, so that, what's going to happen? And actually, isn't that the whole point of it? If you just know what's going to happen, sport's boring.
That's true. Well, I won't be getting up at 4 o'clock because I have a 1-year-old, so I'm probably going to be up at least a couple of hours before then. So an overnight test series in the middle of winter is manna from heaven to a dad of a newborn. So yeah,
I feel your pain.
But Gary, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for sharing with us your memories of Edgbaston as your ground jewel, and all the best for the upcoming year.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure.
Well, wasn't that lovely hearing from Gary? I think he's got one of the greatest jobs in the world, even at my little cricket club up in Nottinghamshire. When you get a chance to roll the pitch and roll the square, I don't know what it is. It just feels good manoeuvring one of those big, heavy rollers around, and he gets to do that on the biggest stage of all. So a little bit jealous of Gary. I realised I didn't record an outro to the podcast. I could have left it, but I didn't. I didn't want to do that to you guys. And so I've just finished watching France-Ireland in the first game of the Six Nations. Really good performance from Ireland. And isn't it great to see the velodrome in the Six Nations? Because of everything that's happening in Paris this year with the Olympics, France are playing all of their Six Nations games at different stadiums outside Paris. It's such a lovely idea. They're also doing something really different with the Tour de France this year. It's finishing in Nice, and it's going to be epic, actually. But son, wouldn't you like to see England do that? Every game played at Twickenham, every Six Nations game that England have ever played at home has been at Twickenham. And then you see what France are doing and the atmosphere that's generating, and how much the crowd enjoy it. And you think, it would be nice to spread it around the country a bit. I will admit that's a couple of Guinness in, that passing thought. Have a lovely week, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast.